Hey everybody, welcome back to Bris Toys. This is Bris Toy Talk. I'm not doing the episode live today. I apologize for that. I'm having complications with my laptop and my ISP. I'll try to get back to doing the live stream next week if I can. This week it's just going to be a pre-recorded video that I upload. So I do apologize for that. So as always, let's start off what I have got recently, or been playing with recently. Well, if you're watching my videos, I've been picking up some vintage TMNT and retro vintage Masters of the Universe figures. Now, I've also got some random sci-fi figures coming, some Sky Commanders, some Dino Riders, and one D&D action figure that came in a lot of other toys that I'll review. But it wasn't something I went out of my way to get. It was just included in a purchase that I made. Last week I showed off my Power Rangers Zeocog. He's still getting some good playtime. And I've been getting a lot of new Hot Wheels. I haven't showed them all yet. I'm not going to show all my Hot Wheels individually as I open them. I have too many. But I'll probably do a video where I go through my bucket of Hot Wheels one of these days and just show you, highlights of my collection. I'm still looking for Transformers from my past. I just got a bunch of them coming in the mail. I got like 4 or 5 of them that I got off of the eBay that will be arriving soon. Various toy lines, some G1, some G2, and some Robots in Disguise stuff coming. I'm excited to look at those. And as far as what am I looking for next, like I said, I'm still fleshing out my Motu and TMNT vintage collections. And I'm starting to look for vehicles, which I just did an unboxing video of the modern reissue of the vintage TMNT Party Wagon. So go watch that video and look at me, playing with and having fun looking at and observing the original Party Wagon reissue. Obviously, it's not the original, but it is what it is. So let's get into the news and rumors before we jump into our topics. I got quite a few to go through, so let's get through it. Coming from Toy News International, it says, lucky chap to develop, quote, monopoly with Lionsgate and Hasbro. The article says, Lionsgate revealed during their presentation at CinemaCon in Las Vegas that they have partnered with Hasbro and Lucky Chap to produce the producer of Barbie to work on bringing Monopoly to the big screen. The film adaptation of the popular board game is currently in the works, with Hasbro Entertainment playing a key role in its production. Blah, blah, blah. Alright, so interesting. I'm curious to see how this turns out. How are you going to turn the Monopoly game into a movie without making it just a day in the life of Elon fucking Musk? So, I don't know. What are you going to do? There's potential there. And I'm intrigued, but not currently excited yet. This is coming also from Toy News International. It says Super 7, The Simpsons Ultimates Wave 3 and 4 in stock at BBTS. Ready to ship. So I didn't even know this Super 7 Ultimate Simpsons toy line existed. But as I look at the images, it looks like we've got the little boy that gets bullied. We've got Mr. Burns. We've got Devil Flanders. We've got a boxer, which I don't remember if that's Mike Tyson or not. We've got the aliens, and they both got multiple heads. We've got Radioactive Man, and then we've got Homer Simpson in what looks like a nightgown with a broom and a cape. So this is kind of neat. I didn't know that I didn't know Super 7 was doing an Ultimate Simpson toy line. Now that I do, I am curious, because I definitely want some Simpsons action figures. Now, of the figures pictured here, I will definitely be getting a Radioactive Man and probably the Aliens. Maybe Mr. Burns and maybe Devil Flanders. The rest of these don't interest me. Mezco Toys, also from Toy News International. The Return of the Living Dead Dolls, Damien. Damien is available for pre-order with a suggested retail price of $120. Damien rises once again from his casket with the Return of the Living Dead Dolls. Newer, top tier, and deader than ever. The mischievous schoolboy is possessed by 2 interchangeable death mask faceplates, 2 interchangeable hairstyles, and 2 sets of glasses like eyes that switch from empty eyeballs to a soul-piercing stare. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know what this is from. I clicked on it because it said Living Dead Dolls, and my brain went to Return of the Living Dead. But then I look at it and I'm like, wait a minute. That's not what this is, but whatever. Coming from Action Figure Insider, toy company MGA Entertainment launches new direct-to-consumer shop, bringing all of its brands under one storefront. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know who MGA is, so let's see if it tells me who some of their brands are. I'm looking at the pictures here. It looks like they do LOL Surprise, Little Tykes, MGA's Miniverse, Bratz, and Rainbow High. I have an interest in LOL Surprise, don't currently own any. I have no interest in Little Tykes, don't know what Miniverse is. I do have a passing interest in Bratz and Rainbow High, so okay, cool. It's just another website to buy these toys from. Alright. Also from Action Figure Insider, Legends of Dragon Ore Wave 2. I don't know what this is, but it said Legends of Dragon Ore, so I thought, okay, this might be based on an anime, or it could be a fantasy-themed medieval type toy line. So, let's take a look and see what we get. Following the success of the first waves of Legends of Dragon Lore figures, Formo Toys is expanding the fantasy universe with an entirely new lineup, the first Army Builder set, and a weapons pack. Even more detailed figures, blah, 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 blah. Retaining the retro style that has been a fan favorite. All Wave 2 figures are completely modular and compatible with previous releases. So, you have a, I want to say Mossman type Swamp Thing looking figure. A man with a tree coming out of his arm and leaves coming out of his face. Arboreos Vernal Sage Healer from the world of Botnica joins the heroic champions when his forest is in peril. Figure comes with battle club and removable harness and belt. This next figure is Venatica, Heroic Huntress of Dragons, designed to seek dragons and destroy them. Figure comes with chained dragon hunter axes, removable headdress, harness, and belt. She is a African American style character. She looks like she's got black skin and tribal looking fatigues. And then we have a man that looks kind of like something out of... He looks like a Native American dude. Chief Talon. He looks like a figure from Masters of the Universe from the looks of him. He's got winged arms and a Native American headdress and traditional style clothing. His name is Chief Talon, brave flying scout. Barbaro's loyal friend soars the skies of Antera in search of enemies. Figure comes with 2 Talon weapons, removable mask, harness, and wings. Now, if this is a Masters of the Universe style toy line, I'm curious, what's the media that they're using to sell us on these figures? Are there comic books? Is there a cartoon? A video game? Anything? I don't know. I'll have to look into this. Now we have a witch with green skin. It's your stereotypical witch. Pointy hat, cape, dress, green skin, leather boots. broom. Obviously, wooden broom. Hoary Dame, mischievous mistress of witchcraft. Flies on her battle broom, hiding the demon inside her. Figure has a face-changing feature and comes with gun broom, removable cape, skirt, and belt. Next, we have a dinosaur-looking dude. Who looks like he's part human, part velociraptor? T-Rex, maybe? I don't know. Pteroptor, devious progeny of dragons. Plotting to betray his master, Ignitor, figure comes with spear, removable armor, and belt. And we have a zombie-looking dude with a club. Brute Terror, caveman, okay. Savage grunt, ready to obey Oscuro's orders. Figure comes with dagger, club, removable vest, and belt. $35 retail pre-order price per figure. There's also an army builder set with 3 cavemen. Weapons pack. Alright. I don't know anything about this toy line. I just learned about it today. So I'm going to leave this window open so I can do some research for a later video or, possible purchases. Because I've been looking for another fantasy style toy line, and this one looks like it may scratch that itch. Alright. So, coming from Marvel Toy News, we have Marvel Legends Iron Man Retro Series figures up for pre-order, including She-Hulk. So, Marvel Legends Retro Series figures have been a huge hit, blah, blah, blah. Releases from the X-Men to Spider-Man to Fantastic Four and Ghost Rider, blah, 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 blah. Hasbro has opened the doors for Iron Man Retro Series, including She-Hulk, Count Nefaria, Gold Original Iron Man, and more. So we got She-Hulk, Count Nefaria, Whiplash, Blacklash in parentheses, Gold Iron Man Mark 1, Iron Man Model 20, Iron Man Model 9. I don't know what any of those words mean, but there you go. Pretty good looking expansion of the Marvel Legends toy line. So, there you go. Also, Marvel Legends Fantastic Four Wolverine and Spider-Man figures up for pre-order, also coming from Marvel Toy News. So let's see what we got. We have Spider-Man, Wolverine, who else is it? Young Franklin and Valeria Richards to confront this. Okay, so Wolverine, Spider-Man, Young Franklin, and Valeria Richards. So, I don't know who those characters are. I know who Wolverine and Spider-Man are. They're all in Fantastic Four costumes, but I don't know who these other characters are. But it's out there if you're interested. This one is coming from Cybertron.com. Spelled the way the Japanese spell it. Seibertron from the Japanese cartoon Transformers series. Movie Optimus Prime soon to get potentially rare Bingo Sports release exclusive to Japan. It's a new Optimus Prime figure. He turns into a sports car. A race car with a spoiler. Interesting looking toy. I don't know anything about this design. Is this from a movie? Let me see if it says. Partnership between Tommy and Japanese exotic car retailer Bingo Sport, a new figure of live action Optimus Prime. Okay, so it is based on the movie design, so the robot mode looks like movie Optimus Prime. And it's got the blue and red flames you're familiar with from the movies. So, okay, why is he turning into a sports car? I don't know. Also coming from Cybertron.com, it says, it's the end of the road for the Masterpiece line according to Takara Tomy. The 40th anniversary of Transformers is bringing new things, but one of the biggest staples of the franchise is coming to an end with the release of Masterpiece 60 Genrai, what they're calling the 100th Masterpiece figure. they're calling it quits on the Masterpiece line as we know it. The primary line that originated with Masterpiece 01 21 years ago will no longer exist at the end of 2024. Says the line will continue with the MPG line moving forward. I don't know what that means. So anyways, I guess they're ending the main Masterpiece line, which, you know, I'm going to say it's about time. It's a big hit with collectors, but Jesus Christ, these figures are hella expensive. So, you know, give our wallets a break. Thank you. Also from Cybertron.com, Japanese pre-orders up for Masterpiece Genrei and Super Genrei, plus they have images. Alright. Amazon Japan has put up their listings for the newly revealed Masterpiece figures. Fans have placed an order already with the shipping. Super Genrei comes to just shy of $300. Holy shit. Oh my god, that was what I was just talking about a second ago. Now, this is based on Power Master Optimus Prime, from the looks of it. And Power Master Optimus Prime with Apex Armor, or Super Genrei, as it was known in Japan. I already have an original G1 Power Master Prime. I have no interest in this. This looks excessive, and I'm not paying $300 for a toy. Alright, also from Cybertron.com, it says, official images of Transformers MPG-09 Super Genrei. I was just talking about it. This is just pictures. So let's move on. And Cybertron.com, wave breakdown for the 2025 13 Primes Transformers Generations line. Let's read this. Non-exclusive Generations lines coming out next year. The year will start with a fifth wave of Legacy United, which includes re-releases of Cosmos and toys like Sure Shot. The 13 Primes line will start exactly 1 year from now in April as part of the Q2 offerings. Here is the breakdown of Deluxes, Voyagers, and Leaders. Obviously, it says the list is not final. Blah, blah, blah. Wave 1 Primes, Deluxe Animated Wasp, Deluxe Slingshot, Deluxe Air Raid, Deluxe Solus Prime, Voyager Prima, Voyager Armada Red Alert. Oh my god. Stop making Red Alert toys. Jesus Christ, nobody likes that character. Leader G2 Grimlock. We have too many Grimlocks as it is, so please replace that with something else. And Leader The Fallen. Alright. Primes Wave 2, July 2025. Deluxe Crasher PR. I'm curious. Deluxe Alchemist Prime. Could be interesting. Deluxe Swindle. Alright. Voyager Robots in Disguise Skybite. I'm good with that because Skybite's becoming rare. Voyager Rescue Bots Heatwave. I'll pass. Leader Onyx Prime. Sounds cool. And Primes Wave 3 will include Deluxe Micronus, Deluxe Venom, Deluxe Skydive, Deluxe Fireflight, Voyager Alpha Trion, and Voyager Flatline. I'm not sure I like the direction the line is going. Transformers has been kind of wonky the past couple of years. It feels like they've lost direction, and I don't know, the 40th anniversary is this year, and it seems like there's a lot of missed opportunities, but it is what it is. I'll skip that one. Alright, coming from Toy Arc, Altered Beast Werewolf action figure by Jax Pacific. This is from the Sega video game, arcade game ported to the Genesis and Master System, Altered Beast. This is 4-inch scale action figure. And it does come with one of those little glowy orb things that you collect to turn him into the werewolf. So that's a good looking toy. I'll put that on my radar. I may not run out to get it, but whatever. And Streets of Rage figures announced by Jax Pacific. Axel Stone. Blah, blah, blah. The figure will include a Grand Uppercut accessory. Will be a Walmart exclusive, and no further information at this time. Alright. Bear with me, I'm almost done with the toy news and rumors. Now, histank.com has pictures of G.I. Joe classified wreckage Tiger Paw 137 Tiger Force Target exclusive. That's a mouthful. It's an ATV with military accessories and a figure. I'm not sure if this is a Joe or a Cobra figure, so let's read on. It is now live at Target with limited quantities at Hasbro Pulse. Retail is $54.99 with a ship date of October 24, so it's coming this year. Includes figure with 10 accessory pieces and vehicle with 14 unassembled pieces. And a bunch of PR speak. Updated design to bring the G.I. Joe Demolition Specialist and ATV into the modern era. So it sounds like it's a G.I. Joe, Demolitions Expert. I'm not familiar with this character. But just looking at his face and his helmet, I would have thought this is a Cobra. So if I ever did buy this figure, he's going to defect to Cobra because he does not look like a Joe. He looks like a Cobra. So sorry, fans of the mythos. As far as I'm concerned, this is a Cobra. Alright, G.I. Joe Classified Series Checklist from histank.com. They're reporting what we know so far. So, it is an updated checklist of all 178 figures. I'm not going to read them all. I'm just going to hit the bullet points. Snake Eyes, Roadblock, Snake Eyes, Red Stripe, Destro, Duke, Scarlet, Cobra Commander, Gung Ho, Snake Supreme, Cobra Commander, Beachhead, another Cobra Trooper, Baroness, Storm Shadow, another Destro, another Snake Eyes, a Scarlet, Cobra Viper, Lady J, Zartan, Flint, Breaker, Zartan again, Cobra Bat, ooh, okay, Alley Viper, Storm Shadow again, Cobra Officer, blah, 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 Sergeant Stalker, Zamet, and Tomax, Dr. Mindbender, interesting, Crimson Guard, Blue Ninja 2-pack, Bazooka, Serpentor with Air Chariot, ooh, that sounds good, CoverGirl, Bazooka Falcon, Python Patrol Crimson Guard, Shipwreck, Rock and Roll, Copperhead, Torpedo, blah, blah, blah. Bunch of people I'm not familiar with. Crimson Viper, Grunt, Python Patrol Vipra, Snow Serpent, Desert Commando Snake Eyes. Oh my god, stop making Snake Eyes toys, goddammit. We have too many of them as it is. He's way overused. General Hawk, Dreadnought Ripper, his tank drivers and tanks. Techno Viper, that looks cool. Some more Dreadnoughts. Classified Retro Series, Baroness, Destro, Gung Ho, Lady J, Zartan, Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes, Crimson Guard, Duke, Scarlet, Recondo. 60th Anniversary G.I. Joe, Deluxe Action Soldier, Deluxe Recon Driver, and the rest of this you can read for yourself. It's on histank.com. Also, coming from histank.com, this is my last news article. G.I. Joe Retro Card Back and Cobra Ferret, details and linkage. So this is another ATV-looking vehicle. So they are definitely going all in on this classified line with 6-inch figures and 6-inch scale vehicles. So I'm actually happy to see that. I hope this line's successful and collectors are pleased with it. I might pick up some of these as the line goes on, especially some of the vehicles. I am more interested in the 3 3/4 inch scale, but I wouldn't mind having some 6-inch scale figures with vehicles, but I don't want to get too heavy into this line because my bank account can't handle it. So that's all I have for news and rumors. We're 25 minutes into the show. So let's shift over to our first topic, Forgotten Toy Line, Dino Riders. Now, I'm going to do a review of this figure soon, but I got my first Dino Riders figure. It's this guy. I don't know his name. I looked it up. I have it written down somewhere on my phone on a notepad file. But anyways, Dino Riders. This is one that I knew about as a kid. I remember seeing commercials for it. It may have had a cartoon that I probably missed. But here's the gist of it. Dino Riders are mechanical, electronic dinosaurs. So, expensive toys, if you will, that come with harnesses or saddles or whatever that allow you to attach a, well, I'd say 2-inch action figure to ride them. It's a sci-fi fantasy type toy line I know nothing about, other than I vaguely remember seeing commercials for it as a kid. I've seen them pop up on eBay when I search vintage action figures, and I may or may not have seen a Toy Galaxy or whatever the hell his channel's called these days, Secret Galaxy or whatever. I may have seen his video on it, I don't remember. Either him or Pixel Nan or one of those toy collectors. Reminiscing, I have no personal experience with this toy line, but I do have a passing interest in it. So the standard question I have for y'all, did you ever own any Dino Riders? If you did, do you still? And either or, what did you think of them? Are they worth collecting, or is it more about the dinosaurs? Are the figures, are they any cool? The dinosaurs appear to be very expensive on the aftermarket on eBay, so that's why I don't own any, because I can't afford them right now. And if you never had them as a kid, when did you learn about Dino Riders? What do you know about it? And do you own any figures? And if you do, which ones, how many, and when did you get them? Let me know what you think. So let's move on to our topics. First toy topic is toys based on comic books or comic book characters. More specifically superheroes, but, you know, pretty broadly speaking. Now, comic books have been a source of the toys pretty much since the beginning of the action figure. Going all the way back to Superpowers and Mego back in the 70s, Superpowers and Toy Biz in the 80s and 90s. In modern, we have the DC, whatever it's called, DC Legends or Universe or whatever, and Marvel Legends or whatever. I get them mixed up. But even Todd McFarlane got his start making Spawn action figures. You know, well, his start, I mean in the toy company, in the toy business, obviously not in the business. He started out as a comic book artist, drawing Spider-Man and Venom comics. Fantastic artist, by the way. But anyways, alright. So toys based on comics. Now, comic books, and also comic book movies and video games based on comic books, are a huge staple in the toy collecting scene. We have had toy lines based on comic books, and like I mentioned, Superpowers. We also had Secret Wars, which was an actual tie-in between the toy company and the comic book, where they created the comic book to sell the toy line, and they actually influenced the events of the comics to help sell the toy line. So that's very rare to do. And then starting in the 90s, Marvel invested in a company called Toy Biz, where they produced a lot of toys based on mostly their X-Men properties, but eventually some of their other properties. You know, Avengers, Iron Man, Fantastic Four, etc. But real heavy on the X-Men and Spider-Man. I did own some vintage Toy Biz X-Men and Spider-Man toys back in the day, and I do own some today as well. I have never owned any Superpowers. I will never own anything by Mego. I have no interest in Mego. I've already shot on them in the past. No interest. They're not for me. Marvel Legends, I'm not interested in. I have one Marvel Legends figure. I've already shown it off in a video. It's a Nebula from the Guardians of the Galaxy Avengers movies. And honestly, I'm not a big fan of the 6-inch scale, so I don't own very many 6-inch DC figures outside of the Batman Missions line, which I went all in on, and I own, like, I don't know if it's all of the set. I don't know how many toys were released in the toy line, but I own most of them. A good chunk of them, I should say. And some of the vehicles. Not all, but a good chunk. So I have a lot of missions. Yes, the proper DC 6-inch line, and DC does not do a good job of branding their toys. Their 3 3/4-inch toy line has no brand at all. It just says DC on it. Literally just DC. So I don't know what that toy line is referred to, but I do have a bunch of the 3 3/4-inch DC and Batman lines, which are the same toys. Just different slightly different packaging, but they're the same toy. I do have a bunch of those. I like the 3 3/4-inch ones. Now, the Toy Biz line, the retro 90s Toy Biz line, I had a bunch as a kid because there was nothing else. But I wasn't a big fan of the toys even back in the day. I was happy to have them because there was nothing else, and I was just like, cool, X-Men, yay. But also, they're not great toys. Not even of the standard of the 90s. They're not even as well sculpted or articulated as Power Rangers or Ninja Turtles or other popular toy lines of the time. So they were definitely cutting costs. They really heavily leaned into the play features, the action features of the toy, which was supposed to supplement the limited articulation and minimalist sculpts. But as kids, we saw through that, but we also didn't give a shit. We were just happy to have toys of, Cyclops and Magneto and Apocalypse and Rogue and everybody else, So we made do with what we had. As the line would progress, it would eventually get better, but then it would regress when they did the metal figs. I will never own any metal figs. And it also, there was also a time where the bendies or bendums or rubber erasers were popular. I do not buy those either. Now, I've never owned any superpowers, but there are superpowers being reissued. I don't know if they're straight reissues or if it's like Masters of the Universe Origins, where it's like modern toys done in the style of the reissues. I don't know. But I've looked at some of the superpowers that are on the shelves at Target, and yeah, I'd like to get some of them, but I'm also torn because I already have figures of the characters I want. Superman and Wonder Woman, most are the biggest ones, and I haven't seen any superpowers figures of characters I don't own that I would want. So I haven't really jumped into superpowers yet. Now, Kenner has also done the retro line for Marvel, and there's the Marvel Legends retro line, which I've already talked about. I have 1 or 2 figures from that line. I know I have a Wolverine figure from that line, and I know I have a Spider-Man, a Venom and Carnage from that line, and I think one of my Green Goblins is from that line, but I can't remember. I have mixed feelings about the current Marvel Legends retro line. They are reminiscent of the 90s Toy Biz style of figures. They're done in the scale in very similar style, but they're also branded as Marvel Legends. So they're somewhat modernized, but I want to say that the Marvel Legends retro line does not really it feels like they're making an effort to get characters people want, but it doesn't feel like they're putting in enough effort into the sculpts and articulation. The quality of the figures, in my experience and observations, is a little lacking, for lack of a better word. Now, we also have movies based on comic books that also get toy lines. This would be, Batman 1989. Well, all of the Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher Batmans got toy lines. Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin. The Spider-Man movies from the early 90s, or early 2000s, the X-Men toy movies got toy lines. And obviously the Marvel movies, the MCU movies, have toy lines. Marvel Legends, as well as individual 6-inch and 3 3/4-inch action figures to go along with their respective films. DC has attempted to do some Superman toy lines in the past. Those, even though the comics are a huge success, the toys don't seem to sell well, in my observation. So Superman specific toy lines don't last long. Generally what you get is a Batman toy line with like every character you could imagine, and then just a generic DC toy line which will include Superman and his characters, you know. So it's basically a Justice League toy line, but also usually just a pretty broad DC toy line. Now, I don't know if there have ever been any strictly Justice League branded toy lines, and I don't know if there have ever been any, strictly speaking, you know, like just Green Arrow or Green Lantern or, you know, Wonder Woman toy lines. I don't know if those have ever existed. Maybe Mego or somebody did them. I don't know. Maybe NECA has done some of those. I don't know. But comic books do tend to be a pretty good source for action figures. Mostly Marvel and DC, but you also have, you know, McFarlane out there doing his stuff. You've got, you know, Super 7 and Playmates and, you know, NECA and everybody else doing some stuff. You know, you've got Ninja Turtles, which was based on a comic book. A pretty solid toy line, I would argue, starting with the vintage line up till today. Various degrees of quality since the 90s, but, you know, some good, some not as good. The vintage line's pretty good. Rise of the TMNT and is pretty good. I would say the Mutant Mayhem line is okay. I'm not a fan of the aesthetic, but the figures look good, so I don't know, whatever. I don't own any Mutant Mayhem toys, but I'm not against owning them, I just don't currently. So, what's the best comic book-based action figure toy line? I think the most robust one is Marvel Legends. But I think the DC equivalent of Marvel Legends is pretty robust. And I think the, obviously TMNT is very robust. And I think NECA and Super 7 both do a pretty good job of digging up obscure and in-demand comic book characters for their respective audience. Unfortunately, I will say, superhero comic book lines outside of Batman tend to usually be void of action vehicles and playsets. Occasionally, you'll get like a Batcave or a Batmobile or a Joker copter or cycle or whatever, but it's very rare that you get like the Fortress of Solitude playset or the Justice League, whatever it's called, Temple playset or whatever it's called. Very rare that you get, you know, the X-Mansion playset, or the Fantastic Four building, or the Avengers building. There have been attempts at some of those in the past, but usually it's mostly Batman that gets the vehicles and playsets, and he gets a shit ton of vehicles. And then occasionally the X-Men, you get the what is it, the Blackbird, I guess it's called. But it seems like, by and large, vehicles and playsets don't usually translate well to toy properties based on comic books. Again, the big exception is Ninja Turtles, but Ninja Turtles is like its own exception. It just made its own rules and did its own thing. It was an indie comic that became one of the most successful properties of all time, and it was a no-budget indie comic. So there you go. They made their own damn rules. Aside from that, I don't know. I think comic book toys tend to get the shaft by toy companies in that they're usually not taken as seriously as other toy lines. So when you do get a good quality Batman toy line, for example, it's usually based on a Batman movie, not based on the comic books or video games, which is unfortunate. That's not to say you don't occasionally get a good line, because especially in more recent times, they've gotten better about it. But it feels like comic book toy lines were seen as, you know, just like, you know, whatever. It's just an ancillary line. We don't care about it. It's just, we got the license, let's do something with it, but they didn't really give a shit about it. Is how toy companies tended to react in the past. Again, TMNT pretty much changed that. But again, TMNT was its own thing. Alright, next topic. World of Nintendo. I want to talk about this toy line. World of Nintendo has gone through a couple of phases. In its initial phase, and it was made by, I believe, Jakks Pacific, if I'm not mistaken. In its initial phase, it was really heavily packed with Mario characters, but it also featured some Animal Crossing and Zelda and Metroid and Pokemon characters. Now, Pokemon had its own toy line off to the side this whole time, but they did get some characters brought into the world of Nintendo. And then at some point, and I don't remember when, they dropped the World of Nintendo name and just pretty much rebranded it all as just Super Mario Brothers. And it became almost exclusively Super Mario figures from various Mario games. And then, like, earlier this year or late last year, they went back to bringing back some of the toys from other games, like Zelda, Donkey Kong, and Metroid. I have a Samus? I don't know how you say it. From the Metroid line, and I keep eyeballing the Zelda toy. It's based on Breath of the Wild, which I don't want that Zelda. I would want one either based on, A Link to the Past, or, the retro style Link from the cartoon, or at maybe something based on Twilight Princess or Ocarina of Time. I already have a Wind Waker Toon Link. I don't like it. Now, the World of Nintendo line is fairly robust for a toy property. Based on a video game, I should say. Because you get two scales of the figures. You get the 2.5-inch figures, and you get the 4-inch figures. And surprisingly, the 2.5-inch figures are just as good quality as the 4-inch figures. They have the same level of articulation and detail and love, and the packaging is just as good. So the 4-inch figures are a little bigger, more detailed, but they're basically just bigger versions of the same figure, more or less. Now, sometimes you'll get figures released in the 2.5-inch line that you don't get 4-inch figures of. So I guess it's pretty much mix and match scales to get the figures you want, more or less. But what makes it pretty robust is you get a lot of mini playsets. Because playsets, full-size giant castles, that's too expensive. But like a little, piece of a playset, like you get the mushroom tops, where you get the mushroom and some of the mushroom treetop pieces, or you get the grasslands, or you get the ghost house, or, the Koopa Castle, or whatever. They're really good about putting out these little mini playsets with the toy line. Now, outside of Mario Kart, there's not much in the way of vehicles in the Mario side of things. Obviously you got Mario Kart, which they've got Mario Kart toys as its own line, but also Hot Wheels, etc. So you don't see a lot of Mario Kart figures or vehicles in the proper World of Nintendo Super Mario Bros. Toy line, but you do see some. But there's not a lot of other vehicles to draw from. Yes, they could do F-Zero characters or vehicles if they wanted. Maybe Excite Bike would be fun for somebody, I guess. Excite Trucks, perhaps. Excite Bike 64, I guess. I don't know. There's the R-Wing from Star Fox, which you could do, but also you could release Star Fox figures, which I don't know if they've done yet. But what I'm trying to say is it's a pretty solid toy line. Pretty good quality. They're very rubbery toys, which means they don't break easy. They're not the hard plastic that if you break it, you have a broken toy. Because they're rubbery with ball and socket joints, if something pops off, they're easy to pop it back in. If they fall apart, they're easy to repair. Like I said, the bulk of the toy line is Mario themed. But you also have some Animal Crossing and Pokemon and Zelda and other toys in there, Metroid, etc. But from those other toy lines, you usually get like the most iconic 2 or 3 figures, and that's it. You don't get a full line of Zelda or Animal Crossing or Star Fox figures. You might get Fox McCloud, but you're not going to get all the others in the team. Probably not going to ever see a Crystal. You're probably not going to see you might see a Slippy at some point, maybe. I don't know. I don't know all the characters, so I don't know which ones you will or won't see. I've seen from Donkey Kong Country, I've seen DK and Diddy Kong. I haven't seen any of the villains. None of the, what are they? Alligator people? King Cruel, I guess, or K. Rule or whatever. I haven't seen any of those. And again, going back to the line as a whole, you see a lot more of the quote-unquote heroes, the good guys, than you do the villains. Now, Mario, you do get a lot of the baddies. You get the, the Boo, the Goombas, the Koopas, the Dry Bones, the Hammer Brothers, etc. But you don't get, villains. You don't get a lot of, Moblins and Skeletons and, Octoroks, etc. from Zelda. You don't get any Metroids or variations of Metroid or Ridley from the Metroid series. You don't tend to get, what are the villains? I don't even know what, like I said, the villains in Donkey Kong Country, or whatever. You don't, as far as I know, there's no Ganon figures in the line. There may have been, I think I saw a Ganondorf, which was designed, I think, off of the Twilight Princess style, but I could be mistaken. So the toy line is fairly robust, but also, it's still fairly lacking in a lot of ways. But it's a fun toy line. Alright, second to last topic. Moving on. Sports balls and accessories. I know sports, I'm going to say nerds. They're not really nerds. It's athletes, sports people, jocks, I guess that's the word I was looking for, do not consider sports toys as toys. Baseball bats, baseballs, mitts, gloves, hockey pucks, hockey sticks, hockey masks, etc. They see those as sports accessories or whatever. But I'm talking about them as toys because when you're a kid, when you're a child, a baby, an infant, a toddler, some of your first toys are going to be sports related. You're going to get a rubber bouncy ball, probably before you get a cap gun or a squirt gun. Long before you get action figures with parts you can swallow. Most likely, if you're like most children, in the U.S. at least, I don't know about other countries, obviously, your parents are probably going to get you a football or a baseball or a basketball at some point in your life. And again, I know some people consider these athletic equipment. They're still toys, as far as I'm concerned. A basketball is a toy. You play with it. You play a game with it. It's a toy. Alright? Suck it, you jocks. Not all jocks, but just, the dude bros who talk down to people who play with toys, and then watch grown-ass adults play with toys on fucking CBS every Sunday. Assholes. Yeah, I know. You have the nerve to make fun of us. Football is a game kindergartners play at recess, and you have grown-ass adults playing it, but you're going to shit on grown-ass adults playing Dungeons & Dragons or Fortnite for a living? Fuck you. Anyways, so I had some sports stuff as a kid. My dad got me a baseball bat and a baseball and a mitt at one point in time because he was really pushing me into Little League, which I promptly and firmly rejected. I had no interest in. He got me a football. First, he got me the, standard leather football, which I lost or throw away when he wasn't looking. And then he got me a Nerf football, which I gave to my dog as a chew toy. Or my dog got his mittens on it, his teeth on it, and turned it into a chew toy. I was not a fan of getting sports anything as a kid. My dad quickly figured this out, and he gave up and stopped trying. So he never got me a hockey puck or a hockey stick, even though I got into rollerblading as a teenager. He knew better than to say, hey, you want to try hockey? I was like, don't even ask. Don't even go there. Don't even. Now, obviously, I did have bouncy balls, but I don't really count those as sports items, but they're still toys. I had the Super Ball that you could bounce and it would jump into the moon, and you never saw it again because you bounced it too high. And you had the sticky balls, that you threw at the wall, the ones that had like the slimy little tentacles, and it would roll down the wall. And he did get me, a baseball bat, and a mitt, and baseball gloves. Like I said, he was pushing me into Little League, and he'd take me into the backyard and try to get me to play catch, which he'd throw the ball at me, and I would go, there it is, go fetch, and he'd be like, catch the ball, throw it back, and I'd be like, are you kidding me? I don't want to do this. I'm going to go inside and play Atari. So that was a short-lived exercise in futility on my dad's part. But the basketball is a totally different thing. Now, obviously, yes, I had jump ropes and, frisbees. Those I was fine with. I would play with jump rope. I would play with frisbee. I was fine with those. But basketball, right? All right. So we off and on, depending on where we lived at the time, because we moved around a lot. Sometimes we lived in apartments, sometimes we lived in trailer houses, sometimes we lived in houses, sometimes we lived in duplexes. It just depended upon what time of the year it was, because we moved a lot. But usually, more often than not, we would have access to a basketball hoop, if not a full basketball court. Usually there would be a basketball court at the park, but it was not always accessible because, a lot of kids like to play basketball at the park, at the basketball court. So, sometimes we could get access to it, sometimes we couldn't. But basketball was a game we played as a family. My dad, my mom, my sisters, and myself, we would all go down to the court or the hoop in the backyard or wherever we had access to a hoop and play a game of, just hoops, basically. Sometimes it'd be 21, sometimes it'd be horse. But usually it was just hoops. It was just, shoot the basket, block, whatever. There were never any teams or anything. It was just, just try to make a basket. I'm 41 years old. Now, I'm going to tell you a secret that's not a big secret, because you can probably tell. I have never once, in my entire life, made a basket. I have never shot the goddamn ball into the hoop. Never once, never will. Don't give a shit, don't care. Never threw a football for a completed pass. Never played a game of football. Don't want to, have no interest or desire. Did play softball and baseball in, middle school, high school, and, summertime recess with my friends and the other kids, because it was fun. Baseball was fun to play, boring as shit to watch, but baseball's pretty easy. You swing the bat, you hit it, good, you run to the base. You miss, you try again. You strike out, you go sit down and chew bubblegum for 10 minutes. Not a terribly athletic game, for the way we played as kids. But, I don't really have any experience with hockey or tennis or golf or other sports balls activities. Yes, we played volleyball from time to time. My parents had croquet, which I never fucking understood. That's about it. I don't really know what else to say. So my question for you who are still watching, do you consider sports balls, baseball bats, basketballs, footballs, etc., toys? If not, why? Give me a compelling reason why they're not toys to you. Because they're just toys. They really are. That's all they are. Last topic of the day. This could have been a forgotten toy line, but it's not so much forgotten as it's, I want to say inaccessible, but it depends on where you live. So we're specifically talking about Ertl farm toys, but we're also talking about John Deere farm toys. Now, these are mostly Hot Wheels scale die-cast toys of farm equipment. Tractors, trucks, combines, etc. Farm toys. And also you get the little plastic animals, farm animals, horses, chickens, pigs, cows, etc. But here's the thing. By and large, this is why I said they're fairly inaccessible depending on where you live. They're not usually sold at your primary toy stores. Target, Fred Meyer, Walmart. Back in the day, it would have been Shopko, Kmart. Toys R Us, KB Toys, etc. They didn't sell these toys, but they did exist, and they did have a market, and there are people buying them. You would buy these toys at farm supply stores, like Orscheln, or, D&B Supply, or, those types of stores, the equivalent of those types of stores. They would have, like, the little toy end cap where they would sell some of these farm toys. Usually John Deere, but also Ertl from time to time. I never had much in the way of these as a kid, because, again, now we had a department store that was a local department store exclusive to our small town where we lived. It wasn't a Kmart. It wasn't a Shopko. It was just a little... Well, I wouldn't even call it a department store. I would call it a general store. A little bit of a department store, a little bit of a grocery store, a little bit of a clothing store. It was just a general store. You know what I mean? Not a fully developed department store, but close enough. As close as we were going to get in this small town. But also kind of sort of a little bit of a farm supply store. So they did sell toys. Now, they sold some of the mainstream toys, Ninja Turtles, Transformers, He-Man, G.I. Joe, etc. But they also sold the farm toys, which they pushed the farm toys, because this was the type of store where farm kids shop, and this is the kind of toy farm kids' parents allow their farm kids to play with. Which is why you'll find these toys at Cabela's, but not at Walmart. More often than not. I had a friend who had a whole bunch of farm toys. He had the whole goddamn set. Everything, including the barn, the fence posts, everything. He had fucking everything. Which I thought was kind of cool in a sense, but also pretty lame, because it was like, dude, where are your G.I. Joes and Ninja Turtles and Transformers? Like, my parents don't let me play with those. Those are devil toys. Oh, God, your parents are those people. Eek! Yeah, I know. It is what it is. But that's a long-winded way for me to say these toys do exist, and that's pretty much where you find them. Now, as far as the quality of the toys go, by and large, they're mostly comparable to Hot Wheels or Matchbox. They're die-cast toys, usually. Now, the animals are usually plastic, but you can get those at the dollar store or Hobby Lobby or wherever. That's a whole different thing. But anyways, Ertl, hit or miss. I don't see them as often as I do see the John Deere stuff. John Deere seems to be the more prevalent one, in my experience. I could be wrong, but just in my experience. That's not to say you don't occasionally see a John Deere or Ertl toy pop up at Walmart or Target, but it's usually just the tractor and nothing else, if that. So by and large, you don't get a lot of those at the mainstream department stores, toy stores, etc. You're most likely never going to find them at the dollar store, because dollar stores tend to cater to low-income urban kids who wouldn't know the difference between a tractor and an F-150 anyways. No disrespect. It's just like, hey, come on. Anyways, that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Please leave a respectful comment. I'll try to respond to comments as I get to them. And let me know if you're fine with this as a pre-recorded show, and I'll keep doing it this way, or if you prefer the live show. But if you're going to vote live, please show up when I do it live, if you can. Because I know I'm not consistent with when I do these, and I apologize for that. Life, job, girlfriend, everything else gets in the way. But also, it's my internet service provider sucks. We're on Wi-Fi, and I know everybody has Wi-Fi. No, we're on wireless Wi-Fi. We have a little nub that picks up the internet from wherever the fuck it gets it and transmits it through the house. And we use one of those companies that gets it from whichever cell phone provider is the strongest signal at that moment in time. Which means we do not get a very solid signal most of the time, because we also live in a trailer park, and trailer houses are made out of tin, and that usually dampens the Wi-Fi signal. So that's why I stopped doing these live, because if you've ever seen any of these live, you know my internet connection is not good enough for me to be doing live streams. So that's why I've shifted to a pre-recorded method of doing these videos. Stay cool.